In today's episode of What's Going On with the Chargepoint, we'll cover Chargepoint's Twitter account, some of their tweets, and what the heck is going on in Sweden. So stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'm Richard Allan. We talk about stocks on this channel, and what the heck is going on with Chargepoint? A lot of you guys are freaking out. It's beat down right now. It's actually down over 30% from its highs about a week ago. So what's going on? Let's just pull up the charts here. It broke below this trend line that we've been hoping that it's going to go above, and it went above. It went all the way up to $49.05. Actually $49.48 on the 24th, and then it dropped back down, and it rode back up, and then it eventually kept testing this trend line over and over on the 30th, and then boom, on the 30th it broke out. And when it broke down, it gapped down and eventually got down to $34.15. That was the low. So that was about over a 30% swing from here to here, and people were kind of freaking out. Now I know a lot of you, based on what you're telling me over on the Discord and the Patreon, that you're excited for this price action right now, and you actually bought more. Some of you are like, dude, I wish I had more money. I would be buying SBE right now. So this 30% correction, I don't think is going to last forever. I think the next support line, which could probably happen in the next few days, is $40. So I think we could see at least a 10% swing in the next couple days in SBE. But hey, I could be wrong. Here's the deal though. We are not that far from the merger. Right now, we're about a week and a half away from the merger. Today is January 5th, and the merger date is slated for January 15th. That was like a tentative date we found in the SEC filings, remember? So we'll see. I think within the next couple weeks, SBE will switch over to Chargepoint, and then the market's going to take over. Now, is this the correction we're going to have, or are we going to have a big pullback like we see with a lot of SPACs? We were just talking about different companies that pulled back a ton, it seems to happen with every single SPAC. Like one of my favorites right now, one of my favorite companies is Open Door. IPOB just became OPEN just on the 21st. Now they're down like 40% from their highs, right? They're down a lot. And that sort of correction almost always happens post-merger. Now, I think we may be seeing the correction right now with SBE, but I could be wrong. But we'll see. I think we have some good upside here to at least $40, if not more, over the next few days. That's kind of my prediction with SBE. But I want to go over a cool tweet that I saw on Chargepoint's Twitter. It's right here. It's from Clean Technica, and it talks about Sweden actually hitting a record 50% electric vehicle share in December. It's absolutely amazing numbers, and this is a trend that will continue. It will continue across the globe, and Chargepoint is only going to be a benefactor of that. That's it. I hear a bunch of different things from people like, well, what about battery swapping tech? What about when you see electric vehicle charging on every single light post in every single city? Yeah, well, if that happens, you're probably going to see Chargepoint chargers on every single light post. This is the most prolific charging EV company in the US for sure. They're very, very big in Europe, and they have over a 70% market share here in the US. It's a massive company. And over the next 5 or 10 years, they're slated to grow by a lot, like a lot. They're slated by 2025 to have around $2 billion in revenue. This is a big company, and they have decent margins as well. So let's talk about this article here in Sweden. So if you look at, so we have battery electric vehicles, we have plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, then we have other hybrids making up the 50%. But this is pretty sweet. And then they have a ton of diesel and very little just regular gas-powered vehicles. So Sweden is absolutely ahead of the curve on this. And this is the route that the rest of the world is going to go. So I would expect this from, let's say, California relatively soon. I would expect this from other states and other countries to get in on the mix here. But this is pretty amazing. I was really excited to see this today when I saw them post this. Again, I think this can only help a company like Chargepoint. I really, really do. And other companies will be benefactors of this kind of thing as well. There's Blink Charging. There's Beam, BEEM. They have a charging solution as well. They're a solar company. These companies are going to be the winners of the next decade. I believe that these clean energy companies, these EV charging companies, companies that are making electric vehicles, like NIO, they just increased quarter-over-quarter delivery numbers by 40%. They went from 12,000 vehicle deliveries to over 17,000 vehicle deliveries. And we have NIO Day coming up soon. These are the companies that are going to lead, I believe, the next decade. But I could be wrong. We'll see. In this article, they talk about the best-selling models in Sweden, and Tesla, guys, is right up there. There's a rumor, and I think it's true, that NIO is hiring in Norway right now. So there's a really good chance that soon, potentially on NIO Day, that they're going to announce expansion into Europe, which would be absolutely amazing. There's also a rumor that they're going to unveil a sedan as well on NIO Day, and NIO Day is on the 9th. But you don't see NIO on this list because right now NIO is, as far as I know, just in China. But you have the Volkswagen ID3, Tesla Model 3, Kia Niro, Renault Zoe, Nissan Leaf, Audi e-tron, Hyundai Kona, Polestar 2, Volkswagen e-Golf, and then the Tesla Model S. So Tesla is 2 of the top 10 models. But again, you can see here that Tesla is really starting to get a lot of competition, which is great, but they're so far ahead of the competition in terms of production. They just lowered the cost of their vehicles in China. So Tesla's really changing the game in the EV space for sure. It's funny, my wife is like a huge fan of the Volkswagen Golf. She used to have one. It's one of those vehicles that I think isn't very attractive, but it might be cool to have an actual EV version of that. I don't know if they sell the ID3 here in the US, but this is a cool looking vehicle for sure. It looks just like the Volkswagen Golf. So this next part of the article is an important part of the article because the EV space over the last 5 years or so has been highly subsidized, okay? So if you were to buy a Tesla in California, for instance, right, you would get a huge rebate. I think the rebates were up to $7,500. Now, that leveled the cost of, let's say, a Tesla, right, to something of that of like a Ford Fusion or something, right? So when you factor that kind of thing in, and that landscape is changing, that the incentives are starting to kind of run out or dwindle, that sort of thing may affect EV sales going forward a little bit. Now, I think those incentives were more so for the early adopters to get them excited about the EV experience. Now, it's becoming more and more apparent to everyone that EVs are just as economical as gas-powered vehicles, if not cheaper. In almost every case, they're cheaper to own on the long haul. From a maintenance standpoint, think of like oil changes, brakes, like all that kind of stuff. You have far less maintenance with an EV vehicle than you do with a gas-powered vehicle or a traditional internal combustion engine. This is a big deal, and we have to factor that out. Now, that is becoming more and more apparent to everyone that EVs are cheaper to own in the long run. Now, there's almost always a bigger upfront cost, and that's where the incentives have come in. So let's just read this part here. The changes to instruments that are planned in 2021 for rechargeable cars, which are now out for consultation, risk breaking the positive development of the year. This uncertainty, together with the uncertain economic situation, means that we currently do not present a forecast for the share of rechargeable cars in 2021. To ensure the rapid transition to rechargeable vehicles, it is important that we have correctly designed, predictable, and long-term instruments, not just when buying, but also when using the car. So it says, it seems unlikely that plug-in sales will reduce significantly in 2021, and unless there's a big incentive change, I would expect to see monthly shares continue to climb from a baseline close to the levels we have seen over Q4 of 2020. Also, something to point out, President-elect Joe Biden has come out and said that there will be far more incentives for the EV landscape, solar, things like that. So we have to factor that in, especially here in the US, that could really change the game. Maybe there's a lot more incentives to buy EVs going forward, and that will only increase competition, and competition is good. When Tesla has competition in China from NIO, they lower their prices. So, and Xpeng and Li Auto and all these, they have a lot of competition in China. That's a good thing, guys. That's a good thing, right? So they don't have much competition here in the US, and that's important to note as well, because once they do, once there are far more incentives, Tesla will probably lower their prices here. There's all this talk of Tesla becoming more efficient, their factories becoming more efficient, their battery technology becoming more efficient. They hope to make a $25,000 vehicle instead of a base like $32,000 vehicle. It was funny. I was talking to my 8-year-old. It was his birthday. He's 9 now. It was his birthday the other day, and we went to the store yesterday. And on the way, we were talking about cars and stuff. And he's like, how much is how do you say a Rolls Royce? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, probably as much as our house. He goes, so like 300 and some. And I'm like, okay, why do you know that? And then he goes, so you could buy like 10 Teslas for that. I'd rather get a Tesla. Like, that's awesome. But he's even excited about Teslas. So Tesla has a fantastic brand, even with 9-year-olds. So keep that in mind going forward. I love Teslas. I'll probably get one someday. But if there's another vehicle that comes out and just crushes Tesla from a competition standpoint, and they're cheaper and they're just as good, and maybe the build quality is a little better, because sometimes that can be kind of sketchy with some of the Teslas, then hey, maybe I won't get a Tesla. I don't know, but I certainly will. My next car will probably be an EV, because it just makes sense from an economic standpoint. I'm not the kind of person that wants to get a new vehicle super frequently. I have a friend that wants to get one like every year, every 2 years, every 3 years, probably every 2 years at the most. But you guys all probably know somebody like that just wants to get a new vehicle all the time. I'm kind of the opposite. I will drive a vehicle until it dies. The cool thing about EVs is they'll go for virtually forever, like 300, 400, 500,000 miles. There are Teslas out there with a ton of miles on them that are just plugging along, and they've barely had any sort of maintenance that they've had to do on them. So I will probably be getting an EV as my next vehicle, and I think that sort of thing will happen. Will just increasingly happen throughout the U.S. here. And the rest of the world. So Chargepoint, again. Chargepoint will be a beneficiary of that. We just have to figure out where we think the price might go in the long term. I don't think anybody disagrees that this company is going to be worth quite a bit of money down the road. We just don't know for sure right now where the price is going to go. Like today, right, we're up 1.8%, and it isn't doing a ton today, but it dropped a lot today, and now it's recovered. So I think in the short term, again, I think we could see $40 per share, if not a little bit more. So that's my prediction for Chargepoint and SBE. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Are you excited for the merger? Where do you think it's going to go post-merger? I'm sure there'll be some more news before January 15th, so you'll probably hear from me again on Chargepoint. But that's it for this video. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the new Discord members and patron members. I appreciate you more than you will ever know, and we have a lot of fun in there communicating. The market has been weird the last couple days, so I haven't done much trading, but I did a little bit of trading. So if you're interested in live trading updates from me, you can sign up at patreon.com/I'mRichardAllan. There'll be a link down in the description below. As always, thank you so much for joining me for another video. If you didn't already do it, click that beautiful red subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.